Hello Rebels, Garrett Robinson here, independent author of the Realm Keepers series, as well as the upcoming novel Rebel Yell, the book Hit Girls, the Touch Trilogy, Non-Zombie, The Ninja Bread Man, a ton of other books. Well, actually, no, that's the entire list. Sorry, not a ton of other books. Welcome to my show VLOGANOVEL, where I live video stream my creation process of my books. We are really close to the end of the VLOGANOVEL series for Nightblade Episode 1, my new heroic fantasy serialized adventure. I came up with the idea on the show, outlined it, wrote the book, basically took it through final edits, and what I'm going to do now is a final read-through out loud of the book. This is a copy edit. I will, catch any final spelling and grammar mistakes as I go through. But this will also serve as the audiobook recording, because once the first volume is done, episodes 1 through 8, I will be releasing it as an audiobook on, Audible through ACX. I might also be releasing the audio via a podcasting service, such as like Audiobooks, for example. Haven't totally decided on that yet. But in any case, I will have the audio recorded after this. So things to know. You can pre-order this book. It will be coming out tomorrow at noon. You can pre-order it right now for 99 cents in the blue section of the screen below my face. You will see garrettbrobinson.com/nb-1. That is where you can pre-order it. You will pre-order it directly from me, and I get a much, much, much higher percentage of the sale than if you bought it through Amazon or Kobo or a place like that. So if you want to help an author out, that would be fantastic. You can watch the entire series of the creation of this book down at garrettbrobinson.com/vloganovel-nightblade-1, also in the blue screen down in the blue section of the screen down there. The entire book has been put up on Wattpad as well. If I do make any final editing changes in this read, those will be put on Wattpad, so that if you enjoy reading the book or enjoy watching this video series, but don't necessarily want to read the book as I write it on the screen, which I completely understand, you can go read it for free on Wattpad. However, while I'm totally fine with you reading the book on Wattpad for free during the creation process, it would also be really cool, and I would appreciate it, if you do go and buy it if you enjoy it, because, we all got to make a living. And again, the link to do that is in the blue section, but it's garrettbrobinson.com/nb-1. So now let's get into the audiobook recording. I will open up the book first, and then I will open up Audacity. I do all of my audio recording in Audacity. It's a great program for recording. I don't do my mixing in it. I do my mixing in Pro Tools. Audacity just happens to be better for my purposes for the recording, and then I bring it into Pro Tools, which has a ton of amazing mixing tools to make the audio mix sound fantastic. But we'll be doing the recording here. I'm just going to do a quick sound check really quick and make sure that my voice sounds good in my ears. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Okay. Oh boy, that's quite loud. Okay, let's try this again. Lauren let her axe fall, and the log split with the sound of a skull cracking open. A little too far. Lauren let her axe fall, and the log split with the sound of a skull cracking open. Good, okay. Undo that little recording, because that's useless. Take one last hit of coffee. Ha, I say one last. I'll be hitting many more. Chapter 1. Lauren let her axe fall, and the log split with the sound of a skull cracking open. She heaved a sigh and hoisted the axe to her shoulder. One hand rose to wipe sweat from her filthy brow, streaking it with dirt. She surveyed the pile of logs that awaited the kiss of her axe. There were many, far too many, if she had any hope of going to the village dance that night. Lauren did not care overmuch for dances, but they were certainly preferable to chopping logs. Only a dance could unite the village where Lauren had been. So I didn't like my read on that sentence. So I delete just to the beginning of that sentence. And the reason that I do that is that when I record, it's going to start a new track, a new recording track. And so when I bring in all of the tracks into Pro Tools, each one starts at a certain sentence. And so I bring the beginning of my audio file to that point on the screen where the audio file ends, and it all syncs up perfectly, and it keeps the natural cadence of my voice, which is always something that you want. Only a dance could unite the village where Lauren had been raised, a tiny cluster of homes in the woods of Salvan, too small a place to warrant a name. Often Lauren went days or weeks without speaking to most of the other villagers, other than Chet, of course. She let her eyes wander, gazing upon her tiny house where a thin plume of gray emerged from the smokestack. Lauren had worked all day without seeing her mother, the one person who could rescue her from several more hours of back-breaking labor. Mother had sweet cakes and buns to prepare, hoping to lure with taste what Lauren could not attract with looks. Far past the house, Chet emerged from the smithy and hailed Lauren with a shout. Lauren gave a wan smile. And this is one of those moments where I say, am I sure I'm pronouncing that right? Wan. It's a wan smile. See? That's why I check. Yep. Okay. Lauren gave a wan smile and a wave. Dear foolish Chet. He would happily have taken her to wife, though she stood 3 fingers taller and could beat him in arm wrestling. But Chet could not bring the required dowry, and Lauren feared the young man would waste away with his relentless affection. Why do you stand there gawking, girl? Her father's voice dripped with malice. Before answering, Lauren stooped and batted the halved log aside with the blunt end of her axe. She fetched another and stood it upright before she dared raise her eyes to his. Sorry, father, mumbled Lauren. I only rested a moment. Why, when work's still to be done, he growled. He stepped in close, the way he liked to, close enough to strike at a moment's notice, close enough for Lauren to faint from the stench of his sweat. Now she could no more chop her log than she could uproot a tree with bare hands. Lauren took a half-step back, but her father followed. She gulped, her whole body tensing in anticipation of a strike. Her arms burned with the bruises he'd left the day before. Over his shoulder she could see Chet. The boy had stopped walking, his eyes fixed on her, a dark look on his face. She prayed he'd be wise enough to stay away. Perhaps distraction might work. Father, Mother said I'm to ready for the dance. If I don't, she'll be angry. And awkward swallow is awkward. And you think I won't be if you persist in disobedience? Said her father. His voice had grown very like a snarl. You think to prance about in a gown? Will I break my back doing your work? Okay, so if you were paying very close attention, you will notice that I added a B in there because it makes it read better. So just switching that really quick. She knew better than to deny it. He'd hit her for sure. I don't want to go, said Lauren. Only Mother, "You chop," he said, "and if you rest again before your fingers bleed, I'll see to their letting myself." He didn't move. Lauren had to step around him to bring her axe down on the log. Her father waited for her to split two more before finally stumping off toward the center of town, vanishing behind Miss S. Again, tiny little change there just for the cadence of it. You know, just finding my place in the audio. You know, Orson Scott Card said something once, and I mean, you know, I have my issues with Orson Scott Card as a person. I just happen to really, really like him as a writer, which is a very difficult situation to be in. But anyway, Orson Scott Card said something once, and he said that whenever he writes, he tries to imagine that he's in a room with his audience and it's dark. Or no, he's sitting around a campfire with his audience and it's dark, and he's telling the story to them. And what I find is that when you get to the stage where you read your book out loud and you act like that, you act like you're sitting there telling them what's going on, you find the right rhythm. You find the right rhythm for your voice in particular, because you like telling stories differently than anybody else does. And your way is awesome. Your way of telling stories is great. So find that voice, person watching. 2 live viewers. Hey, look at that. Her father waited for her to split 2 more before finally stumping off toward the center of the village, vanishing behind Miss Aisley's house. Chet still stood, staring at her. She gave him a weak smile and a quick wave before lowering her head again. When she raised her eyes, Chet had gone. The fear in Lauren's gut churned to rage. As always, she hated herself for it, hated that she could only summon such anger when her father's hands no longer threatened. If once she could bring it to bear when he stood close and the axe lay in her hands. She stamped the thought down. "You have a kinslayer's heart," she hissed in her mind. If she gave in to such dark thoughts, constables would kill her slow and curse her name across the kingdom. Thoughts of constables turned her mind to the wide lands beyond her little forest. They seemed as far out of reach as the tops of the trees. Lauren could scarce remember a time before she dreamed of wandering the world. Always her dreams had contained great cities, strange mountains whose names she did not know, and swift rivers that ran straight for miles. Now her waking dream ran further, and she saw herself in a cloak of black, with a brace of daggers at her waist. She rode a spirited palfrey with a gilded harness that bore emeralds in the... Ow, oof, keep hitting the mic with my head. There was one change I made earlier. Let's see if I can remember. Stumping off toward the center of the village, not town. Okay. Brace of daggers at her waist. Okay. Coffee. She rode a spirited palfrey with a gilded harness that bore emeralds the color of her eyes. She slipped into a city and robbed its nobles blind before vanishing with the morning mist, and as she slid out through the city's gates, the guards quaked in fear and whispered the word, Nightblade. Her mind shied away. Years had taught her to ignore childish wishes. Wishes? Years had taught her to ignore childish wishes. She was 15 now, and a woman grown. She had no time for flights of fancy that could bring only pain, the pain of wanting and not having. If ever she had Ugh, I'm normally much better than this. What's occurring, guys? Can you tell me? Chime in the comments and tell me what you think is going on. If ever she had hoped of escaping her parents, the hope had died long ago. The axe fell, the log split, and she knocked the pieces aside. No more lay within arm's reach, so she moved to the pile and stooped to pick up another log. As she grasped it and stood, she saw a thin figure in a bright blue coat. It darted through the woods at the edge of the clearing. The man, for she could see it was a man now, moved from tree to tree like a hunted animal, looking over his shoulder. Then he vanished into the forest. Lauren looked again toward the village. She couldn't see her father anywhere, nor were any of the other villagers looking her way. That blue coat was no woodsman's garment. The man came from beyond the forest, from the lands Lauren had seen only in her dreams. What was he doing? Where was he going? She knew only one way to find out. Anxiety roiled in her gut. Her mind raced with the possibilities of what would happen if her parents caught her. But a voice within cried, "Go!" She flung her axe to the ground and ran into the woods where the flash of a blue coat had vanished. Oh, shit. So, when I'm recording, I always leave a few seconds of silence at the end of the chapter. Excuse me, because Audacity requires that, and also, if you need to replace any section of your recording with silence, the silence of this particular time of recording is what you want, because you don't know what ambient factors may be occurring while you're recording. There could be some hum that you can't necessarily hear, but is there. All sorts of things. So if you have silence from the exact moment that you recorded to pull from to edit into your chapter, it just makes everything better. So we will save the Audacity thingy. Let's see, novels, Nightblade. Ooh. Audio. Episode 1. Chapter 1. Maps. And Nightblade S1E1 CH1. And there's the Audacity file. And then we export a, I always like to export a single audio file, which is just a rough edit straight from Audacity. It's just in case I want to listen to it, pull it up on my phone. And then I done I export each track as its own individual audio file. Oh no. Oh, this is my audiobook for The Scriptlings, which, guys, by the way, Soren Susiu is the author of, because it's been a while since I've narrated more chapters of that book. Soren, I'm so sorry. You're probably not watching this, but if you are, I'm sorry. That is such a good book, guys. The Scriptlings. Oh my God, when he asked me to narrate it, I was just like, yee! And it's got like so many different voices for me to like be a voice actor with. Oh, love it. Anyway, so I create an individual thing here, and Audacity automatically numbers the files, and bam, 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 and then they go in for the Pro Tools edit. 8, 9 files, not too bad. And the whole thing only looks to be about 7 minutes long. And since it appears to be, it's 1,000 words, so the whole thing will probably, the whole episode one will probably be an hour and 10 minutes, so it'll probably take me about 2 episodes to record it. 2 VLOGANOVEL episodes. Perfect. Okay, so now we close this. Oh, no, we create a new one first. Then we close this. Check, check, check. Recording. Okay. God damn it. That's part of the problem, no doubt. And here we go. Chapter 2. By the time Lauren reached the spot she had seen him last, the man had disappeared. She knelt at the base of the tree and inspected the ground. Crushed blades of grass told her the direction of his flight. She threw a last, hesitant look over her shoulder, but saw no one. She would only leave for a moment. She would return before anyone could tell she had gone. A few minutes, that was all. She followed the man's trail. Her feet fell swift but silent as a tomb. Lauren prided herself on her woodcraft and knew how to move swiftly while avoiding detection. Only a few short minutes passed before Lauren saw the man again. His telltale His telltale blue coat stood out like a beacon fire between the brown trunks. She slowed her pace to match his and peeked out only when he moved. She needed only a few glances to take his measure. Neither short nor tall, his height matched her own, though he looked more than twice her age. He wore his dark curled hair longer than most men in the village. Dirt covered every inch of him. His boots looked fit for the road, but his clothes bore rips and tears from travel. A town man, then, or even one from a city. Lauren wondered at his purpose. Running from something, certainly. The dirt spoke of hiding in ditches and under the roots of trees. I'm going to spice that up a little bit. Add a comma there. The dirt that covered him spoke of hiding in ditches and under the roots of trees. He bore a panicked look that He bore a panicked look that Lauren knew well from the eyes of Chet's prey when she hunted with him. His furtive feet He bore a panicked look that Lauren knew full well from the eyes of prey she hunted. His furtive feet, his jerking hands, every movement showed fear. Lauren looked behind as they ran, but could see no sign of pursuit. Eventually she grew careless. The man turned when she stood exposed, and his eyes fell upon her. He gave a strangled sort of yelp, redoubled his pace, and vanished. "Wait!" she cried. Too late. He was gone, and her voice would not carry far in the forest. But if he hoped to evade her, he would find that a folly. Lauren had seen his unease beneath the trees, his steps used to streets and floors than a forest floor. Meps, that is not a sentence. Lauren had seen his unease beneath the trees, his steps more used to streets and floors than a forest. Lauren had seen his unease beneath the trees, his steps more used to streets and floors than the ground of a forest. She struck wide, making for a thick copse of birches she knew stood nearby. The man would avoid them, but Lauren could pick her way through the trunks like an open road. She could catch him on the other side. Her feet devoured ground faster and faster, her breath rising in excitement. She could hear her heartbeat in her ears. She was a wolf on the hunt, and her little blue-coated rabbit could not escape her. She burst out the other side of the copse, exulting at the look of shock upon his face. She gave a cry of joy, but it turned to a yelp of fear as the man raised his hands, eyes glowing, and fire bolted toward her. Lauren skidded on her heels and crashed to the ground, but at the last moment the man twisted his hands. The firebolt turned aside, crashing harmlessly into the dirt. Lauren flinched at the impact, and though a wave of heat Lauren flinched at the impact, and though a wave of heat washed across her face, she shuddered. "What do you think you're doing?" said the man, the pale white glow fading from his eyes. "I nearly killed you." For a moment Lauren shook too hard to reply. The man's shoulders heaved with deep breaths, his eyes fixed on hers. They were a curious color, a light brown verging on gray, a sharp contrast against the dark curls of his hair. She could see now that he wore a short blade on his belt and a few pouches of leather. But one of them was cloth, and it hung small and curiously heavy. It bore coin, Lauren suspected. When she had composed herself, she stood and brushed soil from the seat of her pants. "Why are you running?" was the first thing she could think to ask. The man blinked as though reminded of something. He looked over his shoulder, but the forest lay empty. "There's no one there," said Lauren. Her own breath still came steady. It took more than a short jog to rob her of her wind. "I kept a careful watch as I followed. No one pursues you." The man snorted. "Oh, they do," he said. "You may sleep assured of it and bet your last coin, if a gambler you might be." "Not yet," said Lauren. "But foresters have little opportunity to wager with wizards." One of his eyebrows arched. "Though ample opportunity to raise daughters with quick tongues and quicker eyes, it would seem." "You are a wizard, then," said Lauren. "You saw my flame," said the man. "It renders your guess less impressive." "A fire mage as well," said Lauren. "Your flight is curious, then, for who could you fear?" He glanced behind him once more, and his feet twitched as though itching to run. "A man need not fear his pursuers to wish them no harm. Though it may look ignoble to flee, who would praise my honor if I caught constables in a blaze?" Lauren's eyes grew wide. She cleared her throat and tried to look calm. "Constables? Are you dangerous, then?" His mouth twisted in a smile before barking a sharp laugh. "Dangerous? A slain patch of dirt lies to hand to prove it. Were I a touch slower, that patch of dirt could have been your remarkable green eyes." Lauren blinked. "What about my eyes?" "I mean no insult," he said. "I said they are green, not ugly. I have never seen their color." Lauren felt a growing sense of frustration, and her hands rose of their own accord to tug her hair into a messy braid. He was trying to distract her. "I've not forgotten my question, Fire Mage," she said. "Why did the constables pursue you?" His face grew dark, and for a moment Lauren grew afraid. For live viewers, y'all motherfuckers just want to tune in and hear a free audiobook reading, don't you? His face grew dark, and for a moment Lauren grew afraid. But the shadow passed, and he tossed his hair back. You will withstand their... You will withstand their questions better if you do not know. From whence do you come, then? Lauren pressed. Where are you bound? He only looked over his shoulder again. She had to get him talking. I am Lauren, a daughter of the family Nelda, she said. If your purpose must remain a secret, surely you can tell me your name. I am sure the constables are free enough with it. That they are, he muttered. It is Zane. Well met. He gave no family. Lauren knew 1,000 reasons for that, but her first thought was bastard. The word sent a thrill through her. No husbandless mother bore a child within the birchwood forest. Fathers and hefty axes saw to that. Well met, Zane, said Lauren. How closely are you pursued, and for how long? Zane focused on her again. For a girl, you bear remarkably little fear. Lauren stood a little straighter for the moment. For a woman, you mean? No man my age can beat me at arm wrestling, nor can any 2 years older in the village. Nor can they climb as high, nor run as fast. What would I fear from you in your pretty blue coat? Zane balked, then looked down at his coat and laughed. When one must flee in haste, one must seize upon the garment closest to hand. He had distracted her again. Perhaps she could turn the tables upon him. She thought hard about what she knew, and her mind whirled. He had come from the east, and made for a southwesterly course. The east road ran straight through 2 cities to the bay of the High King's seat, and the closest town to the southwest was... Cabris, she said, gratified to see him give a little start. You make for Cabris. There's nothing else the way you're going. The road is long, Zane grumbled. Cabris is scarcely a dot on the great maps of the realm. Awkward swallow is awkward. A place may be a way-stop, yet men make for it when occasion rises, said Lauren, and you do not deny it, but you will never reach it. She saw his nostrils flare and his hands clench at his sides. A little shiver ran down the small of her back. Do you mean to lead the constables to me, then? Awkward pause is awkward. Samurai Dan chimed in and said, Hey, I commented. Yes, you did, Samurai Dan. Thank you very much. And, of course, the 4 live viewers left. It's only you and me now. Oh, no, one of them came back. Because I'm coffee. Do you mean to lead the constables to me, then? He said in a grim voice. Lauren shook her head. I bear you no ill will, and you saved me from the flame. I sent it after you also. She shrugged. A weight on both scales clears the account. But as for you, only your boots can bear the long road to Cabris. Your stomach will not, even if both those pouches at your belt hold nothing but salted meat, which I doubt. After the Melnar, you'll find no other fresh water on the road. Thirst and hunger will take you before you ever glimpse the walls of Cabris. Zane frowned. He held forth a finger and whispered a word. His eyes glowed with pale white light, and blue fire sprang to life above his fingertip. I can hunt. A bolt of fire or thunder will serve as well as an arrow. The squirrels know no difference. Lauren's cheeks flushed. Water, then. I do not think you can draw the rain from the sky, unless you are Doran in disguise. He smiled at that. You have me there. Perhaps you are correct, and the constables will catch me. I can always beg them for a drink. They are most accommodating once you are within their grasp. Lauren felt her pulse quicken. A half-forgotten dream tugged at the back of her mind, a destiny she'd long abandoned. Maybe... Okay, a couple little changes I made there. And I saw a double space. Aha! Sneaky little bugger. Maybe you'll not need their courtesy, she said. If you stay here, I shall run and fetch you water and provisions, enough to make the journey. Why? Said Zane. He looked over his shoulder yet again. Because I want you to bring me with you. He took a quick step backward. That is what I feared. No, I will not. Then you'll never reach Cabris. Zane's mouth soured. I'll find a way. I've made it this far. Following the King's Road and the river that runs beside it, I don't doubt, Lauren said. Why, said Zane, I'm wanted, and not for a feast of honor. If they find you with me, it will go ill for you. Lauren avoided his eyes, uneasy. Then she unlaced the cuff of her sleeve and pulled it to her elbow. Black welts and bruises shone like beacon fires against her pale skin. She saw a flash in his eyes, not only anger, but recognition. I'll await you an hour, he said, grumbling. Then I move south without you, and if I die of thirst, so be it. Awkward swallow is awkward. I'll take less than half that, said Lauren. She turned and vanished beneath the trunks of the birches. Between. I'll take less than half that, said Lauren. She turned and vanished between the trunks of the birches, hoping it looked as magical to him as his fire was to her. Boom. Done thingy thing. You know what? Actually, this is kind of dumb. I should create an... That should be in the audiobooks. And then we pop into Finder very quickly. We pull up the thing. We move the thing into the other thing. We delete this thing. We go back here and we export. Oof. Nightblade, episode 1, chapter 2. Bam. And then we multiple. And then we multiple. There we go. Hop along if you feel. "13 tracks, not too bad." Spinning Wheel of Death, no! Ugh. Did I get chapter? Okay, but chapter 2 exported, so we're all good. And we'll carry swiftly onward. Ooh, chapter 3 is long. All right, we're going to go as far as we can. We've only got 20 minutes left. We can do it, guys. We can do it. Check, check, check. Mic check. Chapter 3. What is this, Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Chapter 3. Lauren approached her village quick and quiet. She had long years of practice. Often she returned to find her mother and father bearing ill tempers and ready fists. Many villagers had gathered in the open space to the west. There the sun as it set cast everything in a ruddy orange glow long into the evening, perfect for merry gatherings. Such a gathering would soon be afoot. Some folk readied stout tables for food, and young children tramped a wide space in the grass for dancing. But Lauren did not see her parents. Her heart sank. If they were not helping set up the dance, they were like to be in the house, and that was where she needed to go. She flitted from tree to tree like a bird, keenly aware of the passing minutes. It took longer than she wanted to reach the village's east end, where her house sat far from any other. There she... Weird little audio pop there. I don't know if that came through on the YouTube video. Samurai Dan chimed in again and said, so is this coming out tomorrow? Also, if I pre-order, will I get the audiobook too, or no? The pre-order is for the ebook. Audiobooks, the price for the audiobook is set by Audible. In other words, I submit my files to ACX, but they pick the price. I don't have, unfortunately, any say in what the price is, and it's not included in any book purchase. The prices are also pretty high. I did an audiobook for Non-Zombie, which is only 20,000 words, so it's about twice as long as Nightblade, and they sold it for like $6, whereas you can get the book for 99 cents or $2.99 or something like that. Like, you know, $6 for 20,000 words. I don't know. It seems a little bit high to me. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. So no, pre-orders don't get you the audiobook because buying the book doesn't get you the audiobook. But yes, it is coming out tomorrow, and the link to buy it is right down there if you want to buy it directly from me, which of course is helpful because I get a higher percentage of the sale, and there you go. It took longer than she wanted to reach the village's east end, where her house sat far from any other. There she saw something she did not expect. 2 strangers in brown and red traveling garb. They stood talking to Chet and Bo, another young man from the village. Chet's eyes were hooded and his brows close, but Bo spoke animatedly and gestured all around. The strangers listened patiently, only occasionally giving comment or a prompting question. The constables, thought Lauren. They had to be. It would be too great a coincidence for any other strangers to arrive today. She had to fetch her supplies and be off quickly. She did not think anyone else in the village had seen Zane, but the constables might yet find his trail leading southwest. Although... She thought hard for a moment, reached a decision, and emerged from the trees. Chet's face brightened as he saw her, and grew less stern. "Lauren," said Bo, "these men are constables. I've never seen a constable in the village before. Have you?" "Not here, but once in the city," said Lauren, dusting her hands as though she'd just come from the axe. She stuck a hand out to the men. "Well met, strangers. What brings you so far from any buildings made of stone?" One of the constables stood tall and thin, but muscular as any village man. The other was several fingers shorter, but his chest was barrel wide, and muscle bulged beneath his clothes. Both had boiled leather pauldrons and breastplates, dyed a dull red and worn over long, simple tunics of brown. The taller one stared at her outstretched hand, but his companion reached across and took her wrist in a firm grip. "Well met," he said. "I am Corin, and my stalwart friend is Byrne. We seek a man traveling through these lands. When last we saw him he headed this way, and we wondered if he had come to your village." Lauren's eyes widened. "A man in a blue... Couple little things to fix. Lots of double spaces. It's very weird. A man in a blue coat? They all started. "You've seen him?" growled Byrne, the taller constable. "In the woods, yes," said Lauren, nodding with vigor. "As I foraged for herbs I saw him amid the trees. When he spotted me he fled, and I could not keep his pace. I soon lost sight of him." Out of the corner of her eye she saw Chet's face grow stony, and it made her flush with pride. Chet knew that no foreign man could escape her in these woods. But he was not such a fool as to counter her before the constables. "When was this?" said Corin. "My lady, this man must be brought to his justice. Tell me, when and where did he run?" Lauren laughed, putting just the right amount of giggle into it. "Oh, you are too kind, constable. You know well I am no lady." She made a great show of thinking hard upon his question. "It could not have been more than a quarter-hour since I saw him. As for where, he fled that way, though his path swung about wildly." She thrust a finger to the north and east, directly away from the birch copse where Zane awaited her. Corin and Byrne traded glances. Corin gave Lauren... Corin and Lauren, dear God. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, man. GMAC chimed in. "It's 8:50 a.m. in the UK here. Is it not insanely earlier in the morning where you are?" Oh, and hi. Very cool to say hello to you live. Keep up the good work. Thanks, GMAC. It is almost 1 in the morning where I am. To me, that's not really insanely early, but I could see how it would be dishearteningly early to some people. Okay, Corin and Lauren is kind of annoying, but I kind of like the name Corin, so I'm just going to switch the sentence to "Corin gave her an earnest half bow." Corin gave her an earnest half bow. "You have provided our lord a great service. If indeed we should find the wizard, we will return with a purse of his gratitude." "A wizard?" said Lauren, her eyes shooting wide. "Truly?" "A purse?" said Beau. Byrne scowled at his shorter companion, and spoke for the first time. Oh, he didn't speak for the first time. That's not for the first time. Ah, see? Byrne scowled at his shorter companion. "My friend speaks with a looser tongue than he might. Our lord would prefer that the lot of you forget his words." "Of course," said Lauren. "I'll say nothing. Nor will the boys, lest they catch my ready hand." She stepped forward to hold a stern fist beneath Beau's nose, and he grimaced. Chet needed no such Chet needed no such encouragement, she knew. With a final hasty thank you, the constables ran off. Bo wandered toward the dance preparations, leaving Chet to fix Lauren with a knowing look. "The man outran you?" Chet said. His eyes looked solemn, but his tone betrayed nothing. Lauren shrugged. "Well, I did not give him full chase. How was I to know he was worth a purse? I tired of my run and gave in, for why should I continue?" Chet's arms folded and his eyes eased. To further excuse me, my God. To further his mind down the right path, Lauren smiled and placed a warm hand on his arm before making for the village. He did not follow, for which she was grateful. She had no desire to lie more than she must, and time grew ever shorter. "Lauren!" Her stomach dropped to her boots. The bruises on her arm flared with pain again. Her father stood there, his face twisted and mean with fury. "Your logs lie idle, and your axe with them," he said. She tried to talk, but her throat cracked like desert sand. She tried again. "Constables, father," she said, gesturing vaguely. "2 constables came, looking for a man." His eyes did not waver. "What worth are 2 constables and their man? If they find him, will they chop your logs?" "They offered a purse." He stepped toward her. It was all Lauren could do to remain rooted. She wanted to flee, to vanish into the woods and beg Zane to take her, even without the supplies. But she stayed. She would not run. Her father got close, the way he liked, and she craned her neck up to look at him. "I'll go back to the logs, father." She could not keep the quaver from her words. If she could only make him let her go, she could take what she needed and slip away again, never more to fear his meaty arms or rank breath. "You'll go to the house," he said in a growling whisper. "That's twice you've tried to leave me your job, and twice too many. You'll go to the house, and I'll give you a lesson. Next time your feet will stay planted, and your arms will swing." "I don't need a lesson, father." His fist met her gut, and her nose crashed into his shoulder as her body tried to double over in reflex. It wasn't his hardest blow. He'd save that for the house. "You're far too free with your tongue when speaking back to your elders," her father hissed. "To the house! Now!" She heard Chet's footsteps. Blech. Awkward swallow is awkward. GMAC chimed in, "When you changed Lauren to her, I'm unsure if the her is obvious that it is Lauren you're speaking about, as Byrne was the last name written in the prior sentence. Just an FYI, I could be wrong." Yeah, I thought of that. I'm banking on the fact that Lauren is the only girl in the scene, so that hopefully, yeah, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. She heard Chet's footsteps and looked up to see the boy striding toward them, his face a mask of fury. She met his eyes, pleading without words for him to turn around. He ignored her. And then Lauren heard a voice. And then Lauren heard a voice she was seldom relieved to hear, her mother shrilling in the forest air. "Lauren, where is your dress, you witless child?" Lauren took the opportunity to step back, and her father turned. "She's still chopping for me," he said. He thrust a meaty finger in Lauren's face. "She'll need to go all night at the rate her lazy hands move." "You know we need her to attend the dance," said her mother. "How you think we'll get her wed, I'll never know, not when you never let her try her luck with a man." "The men can come to her," said her father stubbornly. "Let them watch her chop. A man needs a strong woman who can work." With her father distracted, Lauren risked another look at Chet. He had stopped his advance, but he stood with folded arms and anger clear in his features. He wouldn't leave as long as her father stood by, Lauren knew. A man does, and a man knows it, but a man does a different sort of knowing when he chooses a wife, her mother said. She strode up to Lauren's father and shoved her face into his, full of all the anger Lauren could never summon. At the same time, her sharp-nailed fingers leapt out and seized Lauren's bicep, pinching into the skin. We'll never get the dowry without some boy who can afford her seeing a little skin. Lauren, you get in the house and get that dress on, and if you tear it, I'll lock you and your father in the house for an hour and blow a tree horn to cover the noise. Lauren gulped. Meps. I changed something, and I don't remember what it was. There we go. Okay. Lauren gulped and glanced fearfully at her father. What are you looking at him for? Her mother screeched. Go! Lauren remembered Zane and went. As she retreated, her mother and father's conversation dissolved to bitter, hate-filled argument behind her. She didn't know if Chet still stood guard, but she dared not look back for him. The moment she passed through her front door, anger swelled in her gut once more. She should have struck back. Her father's wrath would have burned like flame, but Chet would have stepped in. Together they could have beat her father to within an inch of his life, and mayhap beyond. And if Chet did it, he would not be a kinslayer. But such thoughts would not help, not when Zane waited, and nearly half her hour had passed. Lauren threw from her bed the ridiculous green gown her mother had bought. Its arms, like those of her tunic, hung long to hide bruises. Lauren threw it to the floor, ground dirt into it with her boot heel, and spat on the pretty cloth for good measure. Then she went to gather the things she really needed. First she took her father's smelly, thick cloak of dark green. She donned her own cloak, throwing the cowl back to let her auburn hair fall down her back. In her parents' room sat a cupboard, and from its top cabinet Lauren took her father's travel sack. His cloak went into the sack, forming a soft lining around the interior. 2 skins of water sat near the house's front door. She threw them into the travel sack. Food she took next, salted meats and several loaves of good hard bread, still fragrant from Miss Aisley's oven. Lauren thought of Miss Aisley with a pang of regret, and her thoughts turned to those in the village that she would miss. Dear foolish Chet, of course, and old Chris, who was decent to her when she did not wish to go home. But the names she would miss far underweighed the others, those who heard and saw what her parents did to her, and never raised a finger or even frowned. She would be well quit of the birchwood forest. It would not miss her. Lauren hesitated before her final acquisition. It sat tucked in an old chest atop a shelf in the kitchen. Ugh. It sat tucked in an old chest atop a shelf in the kitchen. The chest held useless knickknacks in the main, but one item she might use. A long and curved dagger, its sheath made of leather cracked with age. As a young girl she had drawn it, and then she hid it away again before her mother could find out. The blade bore strange, twisting marks engraved in black. It was a weapon, no hunting or cooking knife, as any fool could see. Excuse me. It was a weapon, no hunting or cooking knife, as any fool could see. The night she drew the dagger was the first night she lay on her straw pallet and imagined herself in a black cloak, and whispered the word Nightblade. Now, though, she feared to lift it. Could she really take it? Lauren knew little of such things, and yet she would have wagered the dagger cost more than her parents' whole house. Then again, they might never notice it had gone. Not in all her life had Lauren seen them bring it forth from the chest. Never had she seen them bring the chest down from its shelf. Her hand closed around the dagger's hilt. She almost threw it in the sack, but she paused. Then she untied her simple rope belt and ran it through the sheath's loop. With the dagger at her waist, she felt like a different person. Now, truly and forever, she was Nightblade. But she had wasted too much time already. She needed only one thing more before going to Zane again. The wizard could hunt with his fire, yes, but Lauren would not let herself fall under his care when she left. What if the wizard left her once they reached Cabris, or died on the road? No. She must be able to forage for herself. She needed a bow, and she knew where to get one. She dropped her brown cloak over the dagger and slipped out the door. Audio glitch. She dropped her brown cloak over the dagger and slipped out the door, making for the trees once again. Okay, guys, I believe I have gone well and truly over my hour. Yep, I don't even know when it ended, but a quick glance at the Google or the YouTube page will tell me. Oh, we're not too far over. It only shows an hour and a minute over. So I will wrap up now. I will come back after a quick break and finish narrating the book probably in just one more hour, and then it will be well and truly done and uploaded to all of the sites. Thank you for coming and listening. I hope that you enjoyed it and did not find my voice too harsh or discordant. Once again, you can pre-order this book. It comes out tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link to do so is below my face in the blue area of the screen, garrettbrobinson.com/NB-1. It's only 99 cents, and if you order it at that link, it is a direct order from me, which means that I get a lot more of the sale, but you still get a Mobi file and an EPUB file so that you can load it on whatever device you happen to be reading on. Yeah, you can always find the next episode of VLOGANOVEL on my website, garrettbrobinson.com. They always get posted there. And the book is also constantly uploaded to Wattpad, where if you like watching the videos or having them on in the background, but you don't particularly want to read the text as I write it, which I completely understand, you can read it on Wattpad for free. However, while I'm totally happy to share the experience with you for free on Wattpad while I'm creating the book, because I do need to make a living, it would mean a lot to me if you would buy it, which, again, the pre-order link right down there, garrettbrobinson.com/NB-1. Thank you for watching this hour of VLOGANOVEL. I will see you in a few minutes as we finish the book, guys. Very exciting. Okay, bye.